Hey guys, Travis Gillespie here. Today we're looking at compound events. And this word compound, what it's telling us is that we're looking at something that's composed of two or more elements. So compound events, when we put these two words together, we're looking at two or more single events. So let's write that down here. I'm just going to get an arrow and I'm going to write down it's two or more single events or individual events. I'm going to actually use that word individual. Okay, so let's read through this first example here. It says, Taylor spins the spinner and rolls a fair number cube. The things that I want to highlight in here are the word spinner, also rolls a fair number cube. So let's go highlight the word number cube, and I'm just going to actually highlight the word cube. And there's one more key word. It actually connects these two different things happening. It's the word and. This is what creates our compound events. So we're connecting this single event, the spinning of the spinner, and the rolling of the fair number cube. So let's just rewrite this information below to think of it as we have an event. We'll call it event 1. And I'm going to actually just underline this real quick. Get a new pen. I'm going to write that word and in capital letters so that it stands out. I'm using red to let it stand out as well. And let's write that second event, event 2. So event number 2. And we can go ahead and underline that one as well. So event 1 would be the spinning of the spinner, and event 2 would be the rolling of the fair number cube. So let's go ahead and look at this first problem below. Alright, so let's read through this problem. It says find the probability of the number cube showing an even number and the spinner showing B. I'm going to highlight those keywords. Probability, cube for number cube, showing an even number. I want to highlight even number. Also, let's highlight the spinner showing B. So I'll highlight the letter B here. And then I'm going to choose a new color and highlight that word and so it stands out. Now, since we're dealing with probability, let's write the formula for probability out. The probability of an event happening. So the probability of an event in parentheses is equal to the number of favorable outcomes. So I'm just going to put fav on top for short over the number of total or possible outcomes on bottom. And I'll just write the word total on bottom here. So here's our formula. Now we can set up our events, event 1 and event 2. But I want you to pay attention real quick because in this statement, the way it was written earlier, I said event number 1 is the spinner being spun. Event number 2 is the cube being rolled. But if we look at this problem below, the cube being rolled here comes first and the spinner being spun comes second. So regardless, if you say that event number 1 is the spinner being spun or the cube being rolled, also event number 2, if you said that the event number 2 was the cube being rolled or the spinner being spun, regardless of which way you write it, as long as you match the key information up with those events, then you're going to be okay. And that's the major point here. So I'm just going to get a little extra room on the screen. Let's set up event number 1. So event number 1, I'm just going to follow through how the sentence is written. Since the cube's being rolled, I'm just going to call it event number 1, and I'll do that over here. I'll just write cube. And then let's underline that. Also, over to this side, let's write event number 2, which I'm just going to write that word spinner here. So spinner. We can underline that. And there's something connecting these two events, and it's that word and. So let's choose that red color. I'm going to write that word and in between them. Now, since I'm dealing with a number cube, one trick is to write out the numbers that are on a number cube. So I'll do that over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also 6. So I have my numbers that are on the number cube, and let's set up the probability for rolling this number cube. So the probability for the number cube here, I'm going to write the probability of my event. Well, my event here is rolling an even number. So let's just write even for rolling an even number, close parentheses. This is equal to, well, let's go ahead and highlight all of the even numbers in my list for the number cube. So I've got a 2, a 4, and a 6. So there are 3 even numbers in this list. Let's go back to that black pen. The probability of rolling an even number, well, it's equal to the number of favorable events. There are 1, 2, 3 favorable events in this list. So I'm going to put 3 on top over the total number of possible outcomes here. Since there are 6 numbers in my list, I'm going to put a 6 below. And now let's look at this word and for a second. This word and, it's a key operation in mathematics to tell us to multiply. So let's go ahead and just change colors and set up our second probability here. So the probability of the spinner landing on B, I'm just going to put a B inside of the parentheses here, it's equal to the number of favorable outcomes. Well, how many favorable outcomes do I have? B only appears one time in this list, so I could highlight B here, and I'm not sure if that's standing out that well. So another trick, what you can do, if you don't have a highlighter with you, just write all of the possible outcomes in a list here. So A, B, and C are the 3 letters on this spinner. So I'm going to highlight all of the B's in this list. There's only one B. There's only one B on this spinner, so I'm going to plug 1 on top for my favorable outcomes. And there are 3 total outcomes, so I'm going to put 3 on bottom. So now we have the probability of our second event set up. So I've got to take the probability of this event and multiply it by the probability of this second event to find the probability of both events happening. So let's go ahead and just get some extra room here. And what I'm noticing, this fraction, 3/6 here, I can simplify it. So I'm just going to do an arrow downward. Since 3 is half of 6, well, this is pretty much 1/2 as our fraction. Now I'm going to take 1/2 and multiply it by this fraction here, 1/3. And when we multiply fractions, we just multiply straight through on top, straight through on bottom. So 1 times 1 gives us a value of 1. 2 times 3 gives us a value of 6. So the probability of having your cube land on an even number and your spinner landing on B is 1/6, and we can box this answer up.